So as the Chinese President Xi Jinping stressed earlier in his speech, that will be the central task of the entire country and the Communist Party of China from now on till the middle of this century. And now the duty has been passed to our generation. So I think this is also the common goal of all the Chinese people, because in the past few days I have talked to many lawmakers and political advisors from almost all walks of life, including, for example, village party secretaries, elites in science, grassroots workers and Taiwan compatriots. And the way they spoke out at the political gathering really reflects individual responsibilities on the Chinese democracy, and the motions and proposals they submitted show their concerns for those national top priorities, including, for example, the green development, industrial modernization, rural revitalization, peaceful reunification, and many more. And also, in the past few days, I have seen just how passionate the media can be at the meetings, presses, and even at the doorway of the Great Hall of the People. I think it's not just a sign the country is recovering well from the pandemic, but the Chinese people and the world in general is really paying close attention to the next move of China's central authorities. And today, after the approval of all the draft resolutions, we have now got some more concrete action plans of China's top organs, and it's hoped that they will deepen reform and help sustain the country's future development. And besides, I have been reporting many encouraging numbers, including those of the previous achievements and also those of the future, such as the target of 5% GDP growth and some 12 million new urban jobs they're going to create. So even though there is a feeling that China needs to stay grounded, and we know that the country faces challenges, especially amid the so much global uncertainties, these have sent a clear signal of strong determination and confidence to forge ahead into a brighter future. And I think the closing just marks a new beginning in a way. And as you can see, the deputies have come back to their positions, and I think they will understand their efforts in the next 5 years will just determine how successful China's modernization drive will be, and they'll be looking to put in place those new practical measures to resolve problems while also driving prosperity. Back to you.
Thank you very much. Our reporter Feng Yilei at the Great Hall of the People in central Beijing. So, gentlemen, still on President Xi Jinping's keynote speech, he mentioned that the historic mission of realizing the greater rejuvenation of the Chinese nation is now upon this generation. Professor Gao, remind us the two strategic steps China will take to realize that goal. I believe one is from right now through 2035, and the other is from that year right into the middle of the century, right?
Indeed, I think in the running up to achieving this, building China into a socialist, modernized, in all respects, country, we've set two goals. One is from now all the way up to 2035. Now, this goal of 2035 was actually a new, more recent phenomenon. It was not mentioned back in the 20th century or in the first 10 years of this century. I think it was roughly mentioned about 5 years ago when China fine-tuned the whole process leading up to achieving what we call the mid-centenary goal of around 2049 to 2050. Now, I think this 2035 goal is very important because from now all the way up to 2045, we are talking about a very long process. And I think we need to be more targeted, and the goals need to be more tailor-made. Now, from now all the way to 2035, I think we need to really have achieved modernization almost in all relevant effects, and the Chinese people need to achieve a much higher level of wealth for the whole nation and for each individual in their own capacities. Now, this goal should be comprehensively achieved in the sense that all regions in China, for example, people in all walks of life and all kinds of industries, etc., need to being further pushed toward a higher level of development or high quality development, as has been again and again emphasized in this year's NPC session. Now, from now on to, let's say, 2030, I think it will be more crucial, because I truly believe by 2030, the Chinese economy, in terms of its size on the national level, will surpass that of the United States and will become the largest economy in the world if we still use the official exchange rate as the benchmark. Now, from 2030 to 2035, I think the whole Chinese economy will be further beefed up, and it will really demonstrate a lot of new features, especially in terms of science and technology. You can see that the Chinese economy is already on the cutting edge in many respects. For example, in terms of the production of iron and steel, cement, concrete, car making, for example, ship making, etc. And then China is also pushing very much aggressively into, let's say, space technologies, you name it. By 2035, I think China will be very much in the cutting edge almost of all the industries and all subjects of science and technology that we understand, laying a very solid foundation for the final push between 2035 all the way to around 2050. By 2050, I think our future generations in China will really be very proud Chinese nationals. And when they look at the rest of the world, it is very much integrated, because a much larger, a much more impactful China will be more integrated with the rest of the world. In that sense, as Mr. Brown comes from CCG, Center for China and Globalization, China will be increasingly a more forceful pillar and a push for great forms of globalization. So it's generating huge benefits for mankind as a whole.
Let's also put things into a global perspective, Mr. Braun. President Xi Jinping mentioned multilateralism, and China's development should not be looked at independently from the rest of the international community. He mentioned common prosperity and shared value and reform and upgrading the global governance system. What are your expectations going forward? What kind of role can China play in this regard?
Well, you really have now a bifurcated world system. You have increasing protectionism across the world. You have now even sanctions being issued against countries, political unilateralism from one country to another. And what you have now is you're going to have two very different parallel systems operating on this planet. When we talk about globalization, in the post-COVID era, we have witnessed deglobalization. Now we're going to see a new type of global integration depending on the region. So you're going to have the United States, North America, and some of Europe.
Mr. Braun, let's come back to you later. Sure. Chinese Premier Li Qiang is now taking questions from domestic and foreign journalists. Let's listen in. And this is his first news conference in his capacity as the Premier of the State Council.
各位媒体朋友、女士们、先生们，大家上午好。
Ladies and gentlemen, friends from the media, good morning.
14届全国人大一次会议刚刚举行了闭幕会议。今天我们非常荣幸地邀请到了国务院总理李强 和各位副总理与大家见面，并请李总理回答大家的提问。有请李总理。
The first session of the 14th National People's Congress just closed. We are privileged to invite Premier of the State Council, Li Qiang, and the Vice Premiers to meet with the press and invite Premier Li to answer your questions. And I'll give the floor to the Premier.
大家好，很高兴啊，今天能够与各位媒体朋友、各位记者在这里见面交流。首先，我要感谢大家为报道这一次中国两会所付出的辛劳。
Good morning. I am happy to meet with the press today. I want to first of all thank you for your hard work in covering the 2 sessions.
我们衷心感谢党和人民的信任，也深知肩负的责任重大、使命光荣。
We thank the party and the people for their trust, and we're deeply aware of the important responsibilities and the glorious mission upon our shoulders.
我们一定在以习近平同志为核心的党中央坚强领导下，紧紧依靠广大人民，以奋发有为的精神状态和时时放心不下的责任意识，忠实履行宪法和法律赋予的职责，勇毅前行，廉洁奉公，鞠躬尽瘁，不辱使命。
We will follow the strong leadership of the CPC Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core, rely closely on our people, and faithfully perform the duties entrusted by the Constitution and laws with an enterprising spirit and a strong sense of responsibility. We will press ahead with grit, stay honest and upright, exert our utmost, and live up to our mission.
下面就请各位记者提问吧。
I'm now ready to take your questions.
好，非常感谢李总理。下面开始提问。
请中区第3排第1位男士提问，谢谢。
谢谢主持人。总理您好，中央广播电视总台记者提问。首先也要向您和4位副总理履新表示祝贺。现届政府的任期未来5年，对于全面建设社会主义现代化国家来说，是开局起步的关键时期，所以国内外非常关注新一届政府的工作。我的问题是，新一届政府的施政目标是什么？有哪些工作重点？将会怎样来开展工作？谢谢。
China Central Television, first of all, congratulations to you, Mr. Premier, and the 4 Vice Premiers. The coming 5 years will be crucial for getting our efforts to build a modern socialist country in all respects off to a good start. People, both at home and abroad, are following closely the work of the new government. So my question is, what are the goals and priorities of the new government? How will the government carry out its work?
谢谢你的祝贺，也感谢大家对我们新一届政府工作的关心。
Thank you for your congratulations, and I also want to thank you for your interest in the work of the new government.
去年10月份召开的党的20大，对我们国家今后5年和更长时间的发展做了全面的战略部署。应该说，大家比较关心的重大问题，都能在20大的报告当中找到清晰的答案。
The 20th National Congress of the Communist Party of China last year laid out a comprehensive and a strategic plan for the country's development in the next 5 years and beyond. For most of the important issues that are of interest to the people, the 20th Party Congress report has provided clear answers.
新一届政府的工作就是要把党中央的决策部署贯彻好、落实好，把20大破画的宏伟蓝图变成施工图，与全国人民一步一个脚印的把施工图、宏伟蓝图变成美好的现实。
The task of the new government is to implement and deliver on the important decisions and plans laid out by the party's Central Committee, turn the inspiring blueprint drawn up at the 20th Party Congress into an implementation scheme, and work with our people to step by step turn this blueprint into a beautiful reality.
在具体工作中，我们可能要重点把握的是这么几个方面。第一，要牢固树立以人民为中心的发展思想。
In carrying out our work, we will focus on the following priorities. The first priority is we will firmly establish a people-centered development approach.
说到底，党和政府的一切工作宗旨就是为民造福。习总书记说：“人民对美好生活的向往，就是我们的奋斗目标。我们一定会始终牢记‘人民政府’前面‘人民’这2个字，扎扎实实的办好每一件民生实事。”
The ultimate aim of the work of the party and the government is to improve the well-being of the people. As General Secretary Xi Jinping pointed out, people's aspiration for a better life is our goal. We will always bear in mind this is a people's government, and we will make solid efforts on every piece of work concerning people's livelihood.
客观地说，绝大部分老百姓不会天天盯牢看这个 GDP 到底增加了多少，大家更在乎的、更关心的，一定是自己身边的具体事，像住房、就业、收入、教育、医疗、生态环境等等。政府工作就是要贴近老百姓的实际感受，去谋划、去推进，要真正做到 民有所盼，政有所为。
Honestly speaking, most people do not keep their eyes on GDP growth all the time. What they care more about are the things that happen in their everyday life, like housing, employment, income, education, medical services, and the environment. Therefore, the government must always plan and carry out its work in light of what the people feel, and act according to people's wish.
第二，要集中力量推动高质量发展。大家已经注意到了，这一次习近平总书记在参加江苏代表团审议的时候，特别强调要牢牢把握高质量发展这个首要任务。
Second, we will focus our efforts on promoting high-quality development. You may have noticed that when attending the deliberation by the NPC deputies from Jiangsu province, General Secretary Xi Jinping stressed the importance of focusing on the top priority of high-quality development.
确实，我们国家的经济社会发展已经取得了巨大成就。我们的经济总量现在是稳居世界第2，但是发展不平衡、不充分。我们任何一个总量指标要分摊到14亿这个人口基数上，人均水平还都是比较有限的。
Indeed, China has made great progress in economic and social development. We are now the second largest economy in the world. That said, China's development is still imbalanced and inadequate. Any aggregate volume, when divided by the 1.4 billion population, will become a small per capita figure.
现在我们的发展更多的只是解决有没有的问题，下步我们会更加关注解决好不好问题，特别是如何进一步提高我们的科技创新能力，加快建设现代化市场体系，推动发展方式的绿色转型等等吧。
Currently, our development is focused on providing for people's basic needs, and going forward, the focus will be shifted towards delivering a life of better quality for the people. In particular, we will enhance our capacity in science, technology, and innovation, accelerate the building of a modern market system, and transition toward green development.
总的来讲，我们还是要在3句话上下功夫，完整、准确、全面地贯彻新发展理念，加快构建新发展格局，着力推进高质量发展。这3句话，我们还要再下功夫。
All in all, we will make greater efforts to fully and faithfully apply the new development philosophy on all fronts, move faster to create a new pattern for development, and concentrate our efforts on promoting high-quality development.
第3，坚定不移深化改革开放。
Third priority, we will remain steadfast in deepening reform and opening up.
我们常说，改革开放是决定当代中国命运的关键一招，在下一步推进中国式现代化，在实现第2个100年奋斗目标的历史过程当中，我认为我们还必须吃改革饭，走开放路。
As we often say, reform and opening up is a crucial move that has made China what it is today. In the historical process of advancing Chinese modernization and realizing the second centenary goal, we must continue to firmly pursue the path of reform and opening up.
我们要坚持社会主义市场经济的改革取向，要坚持高水平对外开放，要通过深化改革开放来不断地增强我们国家发展的动力和活力。
We will keep to the direction of socialist market economy reform, promote higher-level opening up, and inject stronger vitality into China's development by deepening reform.
谢谢。
Thank you.
请继续提问。
请中区第2排左起第3位 CNBC 郑一伦。
Thank you. From CNBC. Premier Li, this year marks the first since the peak of COVID in China, and many expect the economy to rebound in the near term. What policies will China enact to achieve its full-year growth target? What drivers of growth and drags on the economy does China expect in the year ahead and in the next 5 years? What kinds of policies does China plan to pursue in the next 5 years to support sustainable high-quality growth? And finally, how effective have policies been in the last few years in reducing debt, disorderly expansion of capital, and other systemic risks in China? Thank you.
美国消费者新闻与商业频道，今年是中国疫情过风后的第1年，许多人预期经济将在短期内反弹。中国准备采取怎样的措施来实现全年的经济增长目标？中国经济在今年及接下来的5年将面临哪些有利和不利的因素？未来5年，中国计划采取什么样的政策来支持可持续高质量增长？近几年，中国在应对债务、资本无序扩张等系统性风险方面的政策取得了哪些成效？
这位记者朋友，很会抓机会，他这个一口气，我刚才记了一下，是4个问题，6个方面的内容。时间关系，对不起，我只能摘要的做些回答。
I see our journalist has really made the most of the opportunity of asking the question. I counted 4 questions on 6 subjects, but due to time limit, I can only briefly answer your questions.
确实啊，今年世界经济形势不容乐观，不确定、不稳定、难以预料的因素还很多，而且有时候还会出现一些偶发的问题。如何稳增长，恐怕不仅是对我们中国，对世界各地都是一个现实的考验。
Indeed, the prospect of the global economy this year is not optimistic. We see many factors of uncertainty and instability, and also unpredictable factors. And sometimes there will also be unexpected incidents. Stabilizing economic growth is a challenging task, not just for China, but for all countries in the world.
今年我们中国的经济增长的预期目标啊，现在定5%左右，这是综合考虑了各方面的因素以后确定的。当然，现在我们经济总量大了，我们总量已经过了120。
For the actual reforms. Of talent out there, young.
Thank you very much. The conclusion of the first session of the 14th National People. Guests again, Professor Victor Gao and Mr. Lawrence Brand there. I'm Pan Deng in Beijing.
I'm Wang Mengmang, and of course CGTN will keep you updated on policy implementations and how these policies are being received by the people. Thanks for watching.
Stay tuned.